Okay, guys, I'm actually back with something a little different in today's video. Well, by today's video, I mean whenever I upload it, because I actually have other videos I want to upload that are on the other phone, but I had to kind of leave to go to my mom's. It was yesterday, right? No, I guess it'd be Friday now, because technically, as recording this, you guys can see up there, it is past midnight. And that is, I wanted to make this video here, about Teen Titans Go. If you guys hear, a little, thing going on, like there's a, fan going on out there and all that, I had to get out of the house to do this video. I mean, I could wait to do it, but I'm like, I keep going back and forth, and I'm sick and tired of having this video in my recommendations. And honestly, I don't mind the night time. I'm actually underneath the park where the benches are at. Ironically, it's kind of where we throw a lot of the siblings' parties at and all that. So, and I think Angie's kids too. No, actually, Angie's kids I think actually do them somewhere else. I think. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if they've ever done any here or not. I don't know. Somebody had a party here. There's like confetti and all that all over the place. I think this is confetti. I don't know. I actually do want to talk about some stuff. I'm kind of reason why I'm out here, but I actually have 2 videos planned for you guys too. Of course, if I say nobody complains about me being out here, but I don't see the problem. But I don't know. This is not Tebbits, so I don't know. But I do want to talk about it later. Today's video, though, I actually was going back and forth on wanting to do this or not, and that is Teen Titans Go. See, I've talked about this on my channel before. I do not like Teen Titans Go. That said, though, it does have its, good episodes, but for the most part, I am not a fan of this show. I don't like, how they constantly mock, the original fans of the original show and all that. I don't really like the characters. They act like selfish dickheads and all that to their friends and all that. I mean, to the, each other and all. It's really annoying and all that. And honestly, throughout the entire show, which is kind of funny because I have people said this about, the Powerpuff Girls, 2016 show, how people are criticizing it, there's one of the shows, I can't remember his name, I actually watched his videos in the past, but he hasn't really uploaded much more. He did a ranking video, I think, on the Powerpuff Girls. I can't remember the name of his channel. I don't know if I'm subscribed to him or not. I think I might have been. I should still be. I don't know. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, I am. He hasn't uploaded in a while, though. I think he's just doing Powerpuff Girls stuff on his channel, pretty much. He's done some podcasts with Pie Guy Rules, but he was pointing out in the 2016 show how there's not a lot of action and all that, but he doesn't mention that at all in this show and all that. And I'm like, there's not a lot of action in this show either. It's pretty much the Titans just dicking around throughout the entire, series. That said, though, I have nothing wrong with people liking this show. I mean, as long as they're respectful, I don't care. I will point out that criticism because I do feel like sometimes people criticize stuff, but not other stuff. I mean, it's like that with a lot of shows. SpongeBob the same way. Like I think some people act like the pre-movie SpongeBob episodes were all perfect and all that, but they criticize episodes down the road that have the same problems as the previous ones and all that. But like I said, I have nothing wrong with that. That said, though, there are people out there though that are like this YouTuber here. I've seen his videos. Some of them are very good. Some of them are kind of bad. He did one on yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Let me check here actually real quick. I'm on here. I'm gonna check. Oh yeah, yesterday. He did one on SpongeBob talking. I think he was talking about SpongeBob and all that, how people were constantly mad at Nickelodeon and all that, with the spinoffs and all that. I mean, that's the thing though. I mean, people are kind of split on the whole thing because Steven Hillenburg and all that did not want that stuff and all that. But SpongeBob's a whole nother show. That's like Nickelodeon's cash cow. Cartoon Network's is Teen Titans Go, and that's kind of what I want to do here. I'm gonna do a reaction to this video here. I've seen it, but I do want to do one here because I want to talk about my thoughts on this. So there's actually another one I wanted to do too, but I don't know if I want to do it or not. I'm thinking about doing it because it's another kind of it's honestly a pretty bad review and all that, but I don't really like criticizing people's work on my channel much. I like just kind of just pretend they don't exist, but I don't know, but because this show is so, split, that's kind of why I want to do it like this. So I figure we'll go ahead and do this. Remember, guys, like I said, it's my opinion, and like I said, I don't care if people like the show and all that. I mean, I don't like it, but people like it, that's fine. It's just their own opinion. I just want to get that out of the way. That said, though, let's go ahead and do the reaction. Let me make sure it's actually turned down a little bit, because I can hear it.
Guys, look!
Alright, here we go.
Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go. You can't be a cartoon reviewer without talking about Teen Titans Go. I mean, it's the worst show ever made in the front of humanity, isn't it? Why wouldn't I talk about it? I mean, Cartoon Network cancelled the most popular show ever just because I don't like it. This is what 10 years of being in an Echo.
Okay, I gotta say though, I kind of like his opening. Yeah, it's a little crazy, but I do kind of like his opening. It's pretty nice. I do like the little intro, introduction to the video. It's pretty nice. That said though, there are some problems I'm gonna have with this person's, or issues with the show and all that. Because it says Teen Titans Go 10 years of hate. Because actually, Teen Titans Go had its 10th anniversary celebration, about a month ago, or not, 4 months ago is now. I think it's 4, yeah, or actually it's longer than that. It's almost 5 months ago. I didn't know it was in December. That's crazy. Didn't the show come out in November, though? I don't know, it's kind of weird. I'm pretty sure it came out in November. I don't know. I have to look back at that. Maybe that person had a late video and all that. I don't know. Which is possible, editing and all that, I don't know, but we're going to get into kind of the part of the problems I have with this person, but let's continue on.
Chamber does to a man. In 2013, a certain cartoon premiered on Cartoon Network that forever changed the lives of terminally online Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans
You'd be
Go.
hard-pressed to find a kids' cartoon more controversial and hated than this one. Even as little as 4 to 5 years ago, it was still pretty common to find legions of people hating the show in principle. And you can still find them today, it doesn't take much effort. There was an entire niche on YouTube
It does, because I don't
that
even
building
see
your
it.
small cartoon review channels by dumping all over Teen Titans Go.
I don't
It
even
was
see
very
it.
popular to hate it. In
I
fact,
don't
it's
see that.
difficult to find a cartoon YouTuber that hasn't made an entire video dedicated to it. I mean, that just doesn't happen. What are you, blasphemous? It didn't matter how repetitive it got, repeating the same damn points over and over and over and over and over. You'd get the views, you'd get the subscribers, you'd rally the troops of the TTG hate-driven military to support every non-substantial thing you say. And oh boy, did people have a lot to say about this show, from calling it one of the worst shows, not just cartoons, but shows ever made, all the way to...
I kind of
And it was
agree. It is one of the
inescapable.
worst
Upset
shows.
you never watched Teen Titans Go. Too bad! You do hate Teen Titans Go. Everyone hates Teen Titans Go. The security system takes control of Squidward's house.
Wow. Oh yeah, I forgot about that meme. There's a meme there. That's funny. I was just talking about SpongeBob.
That was just a
I forgot that was
mediocre
in the
parody
video.
of the Teen Titans for kids. It really wasn't that bad. The cartoon community betrayed us. Alright everyone, enough with the screaming. Let's start being constructive. I understand a lot of people may have some intense feelings towards this show, and I do hope you find love and a place to rent, but let's scale back a bit. What exactly is Teen Titans Go, and just why is it so hated to the point that grown-ass adults place it on the same level as stuff like Velma and that one SpongeBob
Grown-ass
episode?
adults is what it
And then we'll
says.
get into why I think the show really isn't that bad, and after 10 years I think people should learn to chill out a little. I'm pretty sure you all know the story by now. DC's Teen Titans was a
Yeah, you can see where this video is going right here. So he's basically shit-talking people who don't like the show and all that, and how they need to get over themselves, I'm like, okay, again, like I said, people can like the show, but it doesn't mean people can't have their own opinion. And there's a reason why people fucking hate the show so much. it's basically the death of Cartoon Network. It basically has killed Cartoon Network. Like I said, it's like the SpongeBob of Cartoon Network. SpongeBob's the cash cow of Nickelodeon. This is how this show is with Cartoon Network. Now with Cartoon Network, I've been noticing, unlike SpongeBob, I've been noticing there has not been as many shows with it. With SpongeBob, I've been noticing there still had been shows that have come out, like Harvey Beaks, the let's call them the Turtles. I never can speak, them. I can see why Shredder always calls them the Turtles. Actually, they've had like a couple spin-offs since then. The newer one did not do very well. That was kind of SpongeBob's fault there, but even then they had like shows like Harvey Beaks and all that. They had like a weird show called what was the show called? What was that show? Oh yeah, it was Pig, Goat, Banana, Cricket, and all that. Which, by the way, was a very ugly-looking show and all that. I do want to talk about it down the road because it'll be a very interesting show. But yeah, that's the kind of the thing there. I know I'm kind of praising Nickelodeon there, but trust me, I definitely don't agree with them like constantly milking SpongeBob to death either. Whether it's Steven Hillenburg wanted the spin-offs or not, there's too much SpongeBob, too much. If they want to have it be its own Mickey Mouse, and I feel like there should be a time when this stuff should end, but if it's making a company money, then that's fine, but some of these stuff gets milked too much, and it just gets tiresome. It's kind of like how Marvel and Star Wars are too with Disney, they were very popular brands, but now there's too many shows and all that. They milk shit too much, and people are just kind of tired of it. That's kind of how people feel about this show too. And unlike other channels, this Cartoon Network right now is actually on its coffin right or now. It's pretty much digging its own self in the grave, because of this, And you can say, well, they could probably, air other shows, like they do with Nickelodeon, which is true, but still, I'm just saying that there's a reason why people don't like, Teen Titans Go and all that, and like I said, I don't mind people who do, but I'm just kind of, making a video about this, but we're going to continue on here.
Into a Cartoon Network series in the early 2000s. Everyone loved it, and to this day, it is still widely considered to be the best depiction of the Teen Titans ever put on screen.
Yeah, it's a very popular show.
Really people still much, like. The only competition is the Batman show, but still, it's one of my personal favorites too. Then the show got cancelled, and fast forward 7 years later, yes, 7 years later, a new Teen Titans show released on Cartoon Network in 2013 called Teen Titans Go, keeping the same voice actors and actresses from the original show. It ditched the action and gritty tone of the original
which I actually
series
like
for a more
that about the
zany
show. It
and
does do
cartoony
that.
approach, acting as more of a parody series mostly aimed at young kids. I'll never really understand why everyone calls Teen Titans Go a reboot. I know the term reboot has become a kind of catch-all term for a lot of things, but nothing about Teen Titans Go seemed to be rebooting the original show. There's basically none of the original show's DNA left in.
Yeah, calling it a reboot, yeah, I think that doesn't make any sense. I do agree with them here. I would call it more a reincarnation and less of a reboot. It's not really a reboot of a show. It's like a reincarnation, but I don't know, a reboot and reincarnation are kind of similar, but usually a reboot is, they reboot a show and all that, and keep kind of a lot of the concepts together, Teen Titans Go is more supposed to focus on the silliness and all that, and less on the, the seriousness and all that. Not to say the original show didn't have its crazy moments too, but, which I do want to talk about some of those episodes down the road too. But let's continue on now.
Besides the vocal performances. And it's not like comic book characters are strangers to having silly parodies aimed at younger audiences made about them. However, none of these facts really matter to the devoted fanbase of the original Teen Titans show that had been developed over its short runtime. After 7 years of being left on a cliffhanger, to see the Teen Titans come back to Cartoon Network in such a radically different form felt a little insulting. Probably. I think what a rational person would do in this situation would be to acknowledge that this show was clearly not originally made with malice or to mock the fans of the original show. It was just made to entertain kids, and while I will not deny that it is far less sophisticated than the original show, and at times does seem to be on the verge of brain rot, that doesn't devalue the fact that it's clearly not trying to compete with it in any form. They were just kind of minding their own business and happy of being a show for kids. However, rationality doesn't exactly mean much in the face of hundreds of thousands of people, likely very young, who were legitimately emotionally invested in the original Teen Titans, and going 7 years with nothing only to see this was bound to lead to a reaction typical of any shitstorm to grace the internet. There's certainly an argument to be made that the show's existence and how it was marketed was a little tone deaf, and that the only reason the hate for TTG really started to spiral out of control was the fact that the original show ended on a cliffhanger only to get canned.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mad at a lot of people are mad about that too.
But 7 f***ing years, dude. Like, get it. If after the better half of a decade you explode with anger seeing a child-friendly interpretation of the Teen Titans completely divorced from the show that...
Okay, a child-friendly show, I wouldn't probably use that term. Yeah, there are a lot of episodes that are very goofy and not harmful to the show, but there are a lot of episodes to this show that have horrible messages too. So calling this show kind of, I mean, like, I guess to be fair, a lot of cartoons kind of done that. They had their episodes where they would, they would basically go and, like, do inappropriate shit and all that. I mean, look at, like, post-movie SpongeBob and all that. I'm talking more about, not really season 4 and 5, but more so, like, season 6 and all that. Now, season 4 and 5, do have their moments, too, where they can be a little bit too much, I feel like, but, like, they still kind of felt like they had lessons and all that in the episodes and all that, and kids can get messages out of it. This show is kind of like, kind of like that. It's like basically it'll, like, give out a bunch of horrible messages to people, like, one gender is better than the other, which is not true, or you got, like, I've reviewed that whole episode of the freaking Teen Titans Go episode where they had Christmas and all that, and we're not getting their damn, presents because they were being naughty. The whole episode is about them breaking into, fucking Santa's workshop and causing a bunch of ruckus and, like, and basically showing that kids it's okay to be naughty because you still get what you want, which is not true and all that, and it's just fucking like that throughout the entire damn show. It really is, and just, like, and I mean, yeah, like I said, there are episodes like I've talked about that are actually good, and I do want to talk about them in the future. I even reviewed one that was actually not bad, but a good chunk of these episodes are fucking horrible, and there's, like, over, like, 600 episodes, I believe, of this show. There's a lot of them. And, I mean, I agree why people are pissed about, the original show, because fucking Cartoon Network canceled the damn thing, and then they brought it back with this fucking reboot here. And I mean, it's very common for there to be, like, cliffhanger sometimes or this or that, but usually they'll go back and, like, do something with it down the road. I mean, even Scooby-Doo, had the 13th Ghost and all that. For what I heard, though, about that show, that wasn't really a cliffhanger. They just didn't catch the, 13 Ghosts and all that, but they did eventually go back and make a movie, although I hear it's pretty shitty and all that, but, the point is they actually went back and tried to do something with it. We're still kind of in a cliffhanger on the original show and all that, and it's just like, I mean, I can see why people are pissed about it. I really can be, and when people get pissed at people who will think that way, I'm like, it's, I mean, when you're airing this many fucking episodes of a show, I mean, people could at least want a happy ending to the original show, I mean, it doesn't have to go on like this, but at least wrap the fucking show up instead of, like, keeping it on, keeping this one going and the other one. I don't know, it's just fucking stupid. It really is, and I don't like it. I have people criticize people like that. But, like I said, people can have their own opinion, but I with people like this is kind of where I just start drawing the line. Let's continue on, though.
Finished airing 7 years ago, then I really don't see the rationality. Of course, this is not to discredit the fact that people had a right to be upset at Cartoon Network canceling the original series and then airing something completely different. That's understandable, to an extent. And this also does not invalidate any legitimate criticism people had towards Teen Titans Go as a TV show, which there is plenty of, and a lot of it is valid. The show definitely does not pretend to be high art.
I didn't think he was going to bring that up, but he's still kind of
slightly obnoxious and high-energy kids
I still
cartoon
like it's out of nowhere.
With lowbrow jokes is just trying to entertain kids without that much effort. Speaking in terms of quality, Teen Titans Go is about as aggressively mediocre as kids' television can get. Saying that though, if you heard the average online person around this time describe the show, you'd think it would be about as good for kids as youth propaganda. Fans of the original Teen Titans hated Teen Titans Go, and they shouted that hate to the rooftops. Countless angry rants across social media, YouTube videos of people dunking on the show while screaming into their blue snowball racked up millions of views, and single-handedly carried people's careers. And the things that were said about this show, after watching the entire thing myself, feel slightly insane in retrospect. All these comments about how it's a disgrace, an insult to the original, that it's poisoning the minds of children, and how it's one of the worst cartoons ever made in the history of ever, and it's like, god damn, they made a mid-kids cartoon, guys. It is never that deep. To this
It is though. I mean, like I told you guys, they made a lot of shitty episodes with very shitty, lessons and all that. And like I want to clarify that a lot of these cartoons, a lot of them, there's not gonna be. Well, a lot of these cartoons, we shouldn't be taking these messages seriously all the time. And you're right. I mean, we shouldn't be. But when you're like out here, doing this shit and all, and a lot of little kids are watching this shit, that's kind of a problem. And all that. And I'm like, that's the thing though. Like them trying to, this guy here is trying to say that we should get over it and all that. And I'm just like looking at this, I'm listening to this person here, and I'm like I said, I mean, what people are saying is fucking true. I mean, it does have a lot of harmful, messages in it, and that can be, toxic to kids, and it's not good. But there are, like I said, episodes that are not that bad either, that's the thing. But there are a lot of episodes that are like this, and he's gonna get to one down the road. I actually wanted to do a solo review on. I don't know if I still will, but we'll talk about it here in a few. We'll have to wait till he gets to it.
Day, I have rarely seen mob mentality that rivals the unstoppable venom of Teen Titans Go haters. And this mob mentality led to some severe escalations. I mean, people sent death threats over this show. Not exactly uncommon on the internet, but over this show,
wow.
Of all things, the initial wave of hate towards the show, to be frank, was cringe. It did not deserve this much of a reaction.
Yes,
and knowing how people are online, I can't even begin to imagine half the bile that was being sent towards people who were working on it, assuming they were tracked down and directly contacted in the first place, which leads us into the other reason why the hate towards the show got so bad.
Yep.
Let's talk about what happened when the show fought back. The reactions towards Teen Titans Go
here we
were
go.
loud
Here's
and
what I'm talking
obnoxious
about.
and
This is the
hard to
shit
ignore,
that,
and
pisses me off
behind
here.
The show eventually caught wind of the insane backlash it was receiving, and given they were being sent
this is where I was
their
going to talk
silly
about
fun
it.
TV show for kids was being viciously attacked over incredibly petty reasons, understandably they decided to fight back. A lot.
And by fight back, I mean give them the middle finger
This is
is
where
what I
Teen
mean.
Titans Go stopped being just a silly, fun show for kids and became a silly, fun show for kids that would occasionally take time out of its day to kick the shit out of people on the internet. Teen Titans Go has several episodes making fun of the toxic fans of the original show. People who are obsessed with making the show super...
You hear that? Because we don't like this show, we're fucking toxic. That's basically what he's saying here. You hear what he's saying? Because we don't like this show, we're toxic. We're toxic. And I want to clarify, I'm one of those people who do not like this show. And I actually was looking forward to it. Yeah, it looked different than the original Teen Titans show from 2003, but I was looking forward to it, But but then when they do this shit and all that, this is with unlikable characters and then shit like this is what pisses me off. I'm like, and you got people out here like this. I'm not saying, like I said, everybody, I mean, there aren't a lot of people out here that I've seen trash on people like this, but this fucking person here is basically telling us we're fucking toxic, and these writers have the right of way to give us the middle finger and tell us to fuck off for having our own opinion and have a reason for being pissed because, again, having an opinion, it's basically the fucking Star Wars shit. I'm not kidding. Like, literally, a lot of people, I don't think they really did that in the actual movies. Yeah, they actually did go out and they've changed a lot of characters and all that, and made them make shit more toxic, but they weren't, breaking the fourth wall like this. But that said, though, that's what they do in this. They basically do what Star Wars, did back in the day, like when Disney acquired it and made those shitty sequel trilogy movies. They were pretty much like that. They were pretty much just giving us a big middle finger and all that and basically shitting on us because, they ruined the characters we liked. That's pretty much what happened here, And like I said, people can have their own opinion. Even with that stuff, people can have their own opinion. And even with, SpongeBob, I've talked about how I think season 4 and 5 of SpongeBob, even though it's post-movie, it's not that bad. That's not that, but, that's the thing, that's my opinion. But when people, who disagree with you, shit-talk you and all that, like this person here is doing, then that's the fucking problem. But let's continue on here because he's gonna go on about how it's okay and all that for this, and it's not. But we'll continue on anyway.
Were dark and serious. People who ranted about it in YouTube videos. People who were still clinging on to the original show despite this very clearly not having any ties to it beyond having the same characters, etc. These episodes are deemed controversial by some, and their creation only led to further outrage from the people it was making fun of. But I'm just gonna say it. I like these episodes. Quite a bit, actually. Based on principle alone. You can tell the people behind the show could see through how absolutely ridiculous the hate campaign towards it was, because these just aren't real problems, and just wanted to poke the thousands of bears for a quick laugh at their expense, given how easy it was to make them angry. This is not some immature response to criticism like so many people have framed it as. That's very disingenuous. You definitely know what they're trying to respond to here. It's not the critiques. This is what happens when innocent people making a stupid kids show get tired of seeing tons of fully grown adults ranting and raving about their...
Or it's basically them that can't take criticism, and instead of, ignoring it, just shit-talking on people. You see what I'm talking about here? I said this person's just, he's just fucking, constantly... Basically, he's saying that it's okay for these people to fucking do this and all that, and it's not. It's basically bullying, It's basically bullying, is what it... You're teaching your fucking kid audience here to bully, people. It's not okay. It's just not okay, I'm just because somebody has their own opinion doesn't mean, you should go out there and shit on people like that. And that's what this person right here is trying to say, that it's okay for this show to do that. And it's not. It ain't okay, it's okay. There are times where the shows break the fourth wall and make it funny, but when they're in your face like this, this show is literally in your fucking face about it. That's the problem. And the thing is too, though, is they also go, I don't know if he'll bring that up in this video or not. He might, talking about how, this show is criticizing, because that's what they do in this show. There's all these episodes here to do that, flip people off and all that. They talk about how the show is not serious enough and all that, so we gotta make these ugly-looking, reskinned characters on it, can look fucking, hideous and all that, and... I guess take that back, not all the redesigns are hideous, but, the ones he showed on here they look so fucking hideous and all that, and my problem is, though, with that is, like I said, there was a ton of there was a ton of silly stuff in the original show, too. There were a lot of silly episodes. Hell, they had a whole Japanese themed intro of these episodes. A lot of them are really good. I remember some not being the biggest fan, but most of them were really good because they had likable characters. They weren't shit talking on people who had their own opinions and all of that, But let's continue on now then.
Work that was intended for kids, and being harassed and told to take their lives just because the show is different from one that had ended like 7 years before it first aired. And it boggles my mind that people still can't wrap their heads around this very simple concept. I understand that a lot of people grew up with the original Teen Titans, and millions have fond memories of it for good reason. It kicks ass. But put yourself in the shoes of the people working on Go for a second. You're literally just unbothered, doing your job, making a show that's only goal is to entertain kids, and then suddenly a large section of the internet comprised of people who are definitely not the target audience are completely up in arms and saying all kinds of vile things about the show and the people behind it. While you can argue all you want about how petty the show's responses to these fans are, I can't blame them for keeping it real and pointing out that yes, these reactions are pretty insane. And the fact that the point completely flew past everyone's heads as they began disingenuously framing the show as being unable to accept critiques, continuing this back and forth hate spewing with the show for years on end and constantly giving the show ammo to fire back with, is funnier than any joke the show itself can actually muster. It's important to engage with things critically. It ain't funny when you criticize your fans. Children if it's particularly poor. But being a grown adult and online beefing with a kids show that keeps making fun of you for being unhinged is a borderline Sisyphean tragedy that shouldn't even be adapted to film. It's so sad. Is the show petty? Yes. Do I think they might have responded a few too many times? Also yes. Do I think them doing this is justified? Absolutely yes.
No,
and the only reason they keep responding is because the hate hasn't stopped. It's definitely died down considerably compared to a decade ago, but it's still very much present. People frame the show as being the one soldier fighting a war that had ended like 20 years ago or something, but it's just not true. The hate has not stopped. The show recently had its 400th episode, and this caused lots of the usual suspects to come out of the woodwork and repeat a lot of the same dumb points about the show that they've been repeating for
problematic
years. The most bizarre
people
argument I think I've ever heard in relation to Teen Titans Go is that Cartoon Network should just outright cancel the entire show because it's bad. This is a position that a lot of people seem to have for shows that are considered bad, not just Teen Titans Go. A lot of people are often in complete shock that shows they dislike or are universally considered bad keep getting renewed for more seasons, and it's because none of them actually care about how things on TV work. Ratings are everything, and if a show has a lot of viewers, it's not gonna get cancelled. Grah! Why can't they just cancel Teen Titans Go already? Realistically speaking, what the f do you expect Cartoon Network to do here? It's no secret that TTG is CN's most successful cartoon ever. Even with how cripplingly irrelevant Cartoon Network is today in the face of streaming overtaking cable, the show is still bringing in the vast majority of their cash. And I have no doubts they're aware of how hated the show is by a large
it's probably
group of
got a lot of views because it's fucking plays 24/7.
On the air, lad. If Cartoon Network canceled Teen Titans Go, it would likely go down as one of the most boneheaded business decisions of all time. It is the corporate equivalent of shooting yourself in the balls. It makes absolutely no sense. Granted, I do understand some of the frustration a lot of people have of Cartoon Network's reliance on the show in order to stay afloat. And this is where we get into one of the other main contributing factors towards the show's hatedom. Cartoon Network's abysmal scheduling. Once CN realized...
Okay, so, that's the thing, though. They could cancel it and put, like, shows on there people actually like. I mean, it ain't gonna fucking hurt to put, shows on there people actually like. And the whole thing about, like, yeah, I know it has a very mixed, audience. I mean, I know people who have very mixed opinions on this show. That said, though, I'm sure it's getting a lot of views, too, because it's the only thing on Cartoon Network. Because it is. It's the only fucking show on Cartoon Network anymore. And you could say, well, they got streaming and all that. Streaming's kind of... A lot of the Cartoon Network shows are also kind of disappearing from streaming, too. So... Hell, on Hulu, if you watch Hulu, there's, like, fucking 2 seasons... two different, like, languages of the show. Yeah, I still don't really know why that is. I kind of find that kind of weird. It's like a U.S. version and a Spanish one. I don't know why that's the case. I've actually never seen that before. Well, I should take that back. I've seen it with Bleach, but usually they even have the Bleach. They have like the Japanese and then the American dubs in the actual set there. I don't know. I just kind of find it weird how it's like the only one that I've seen so far like that, but. I don't know, but that's the thing, though. I mean, they can get, like SpongeBob, if they want, they can continue the show. If it makes them lose money, it's fine. But the problem is they need to make different shows, too, for the platform. Don't just fucking focus on Teen Titans Go, And, I mean, again, canceling the damn show ain't gonna do it. It ain't gonna screw Cartoon Network up if they have other shows to watch. That's the problem. They're shooting themselves in the foot right now because they don't have any other content on there, and that's the problem. That's the issue. It's kind of like when Nickelodeon kind of was getting too heavily on SpongeBob. They shot themselves in the foot. They actually, I think, are learning their lesson, though, because I think I've been noticing they're focusing on more than just SpongeBob. Now, SpongeBob's still their cow, it's their mascot of Nickelodeon, which, is very common for, channels and studios. Mickey Mouse is the mascot of Disney, but Mickey Mouse wasn't created until, a few years, after, Disney was made, so... And even then, he was known as being Steamboat Willie and all that, but I guess he still was the same character. They just changed his name to Mickey Mouse. But that's my thing, though. It's okay to have a mascot. Even Scooby Doo, I would say, is probably more of a mascot and to Hanna-Barbera than the Flintstones is. They had their bumpers and all of that, like in Boomerang, but that was more something, they had a lot more than Flintstones. It had, Yogi Bear and all that, too, so, I don't know, I really do miss Boomerang. It was a really good, channel and all that. It's still around, but it's basically become the new Cartoon Network. Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much the new Cartoon Network. It's been for a while now, a lot of people might blame David Lasley, but a lot of these channels, Cartoon Network, I've said before, has been declining years before David Lasley became the CEO, so, I don't know. But let's continue on. We're almost done with this.
That Go was making them a disgusting amount of money. They went all in. You know how after a while Nickelodeon just became the SpongeBob Network?
Yeah,
that's what
much.
Cartoon Network did with Teen Titans Go, and believe me, watching Cartoon Network during this period of time was painful. I never truly disliked the show that much. It was whatever. But man, is it easy to get frustrated when you see this much fucking yellow. This wasn't just exclusive to Teen Titans Go marathons Cartoon Network would do every now and then either. Though those definitely didn't help, considering nothing played on the network throughout an entire week except Teen Titans Go. It just took up the majority of the time slots anyway. Steven Universe, I don't want to alarm you, but there's a bunch of ugly bitches surrounding you. This is, without a doubt, the most
Ugly
understandable
bitches
reason why
surrounding
the
you?
show is so
What does he
hated.
mean by that?
Granted, it's not the show's fault at all. The blame is entirely on Cartoon Network. But I definitely understand that a lot of people were growing patient. Certainly doesn't justify any of what we've previously discussed, but there's at least a good amount of logic here to the point that I can understand being annoyed about this. This is all a little depressing, isn't it? Let's stop talking about the hate for a second. Because while I'm not a fan of Teen Titans Go by a long shot, I can't deny that the longer the show has gone on, the more it's had moments where I've actually enjoyed watching it. I'm absolutely not the target demographic for this, and there are just a lot of really bad moments and episodes here. But there are actually a decent bundle of episodes here that I think are genuinely solid and entertaining. While I tend to groan over self-aware humor,
yeah, I agree with some of them, but a lot of them are still not
lands,
great.
it really does
I've seen
land.
several
When
seasons
they
of
go
this
all in
show.
on the superhero DC parody thing, they genuinely put out some A-class stuff. Whether it's gangs like the Titans pretending to be all the different actors who played the Joker in previous Batman movies and then completely taking the piss out of Jared Leto, to the entire Teen Titans Go movie, which is inarguably the greatest thing to come out of this show's existence. Even devout haters of Teen
I actually
Titans
didn't
Go
like
agree
the
that this
movie. I
is
did a whole
genuinely
review
solid.
on
It
it.
still has plenty of the trappings you'd expect.
I heard a lot of
full
people
brow
did
jokes
like
and all,
it,
but
but
it's
I
a
didn't
very
like the
fun
movie that
watch
much.
with some pretty decent animation and a heap of self-aware comedy at DC's expense that I actually found pretty amusing. Look, all I'm saying is Teen Titans Go was tired of superhero movies before all of us were, and they were low-key cooking here. Genuinely, if these writers actually focused their energy into writing jokes that had more of that multi-generational appeal, then Teen Titans Go would likely be received a lot more positively, because these writers have shown that they aren't stupid, and many points of Teen Titans Go can attest to that. Even outside the DC stuff, there are plenty of highlights. The show can kinda get away with basically anything. They just use the Teen Titans IP to tell absolutely unhinged stories, and I kinda love that. When was the last time you watched a show to take the stereotypical leprechaun with a pot of gold shtick, only to spend the next few minutes talking about the gold standard, the economy, and beating the shit out of President Nixon? When TTG locks in, it's absolutely hilarious, which makes me sad because they choose to not do that most of the time and just stick to being painfully average junk food. Sure, the show is aimed at kids and they don't have to try too hard, but kids should deserve smart writing, even if Nixon jokes mostly
I don't think a lot of it's smart writing, but okay. Like I said, that's just my opinion.
In, which they are very capable of doing, it
Like I said, people can have their own
That's how
opinion.
you criticize a kids show. You don't froth at the mouth unironically. Hamming up your frustration in the form of comedic anger is one thing. Of course, I used to do that because I thought it was funny, but genuine vitriol is another. And It's been 10 years now. 11 now, actually. And looking at people's reactions towards the show just make me feel like I'm stuck in 2013 to 2017 again. I'm not suggesting people should stop disliking the show or anything. That's an entirely different thing. Plenty of people dislike the show for their own reasons, but I feel like if you've been playing this game of sending hate mail towards a kid's show for a decade, you should just look at yourself and stop. I know this is likely gonna fall on deaf ears, or someone in the comments below will try to justify why their version of constantly hating the show 24/7 is different from the others, but I really don't understand why people are still reacting this way in 2024. It's embarrassing.
Because it's an opinion. It's not embarrassing, it's an opinion.
I'll give you guys a pass this time around because I still have hope for you, but if I come back in 5 years and you're still doing this shit, I'm gonna show up to your house and put you on LinkedIn myself. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Play Yakuza.
Okay. Yeah, that video was definitely trash, I will say that. Definitely not the worst thing I've seen. Believe me, there's a Star Wars one out there, that was pretty bad. That said, though, I don't like how this person, like I said, was shit-talking on people for having their own opinion and all that. And like I've said, you guys are right to have your own opinion, but don't go getting pissed off at people for having their own opinion, But a lot of the shit that he pointed out in this video, well, some of it was not that bad, but like he talked about how, there's reasons, why people are still mad about the, cancellation of the original show and all that, but then like him, going out there and talking bad about people having their own, not being able to have their own opinion and all that, and that they need to stop complaining about it. I'm like, they can complain about it all they want. That's what social media is for, to throw your thoughts out there, It's just fucking annoying, when people are like this. And when this show comes out here and does that stuff too, it's just making it look like that people can't have their damn opinions, Like, that's kind of the problem. I mean, I'm not saying a lot of this could be parents' problems too, not like teaching their kids, some of this stuff, but a lot of parents, teach their kids good things, but a lot of the bad messages come out from shows like this who criticize people for having their own opinions, and it's not the only one. A lot of them have done that. But that's the thing, though. I just don't like people who add that, who get mad at people who have their own opinion. And 5 years from now, if I don't like the show still, I don't care. I don't care what this person says. If you got a problem with it, I don't care. That's the thing, though. It feels like he just doesn't, like this person, like I said, does not like criticism and all that. And I mean, some of it I can kind of, understand why the criticism doesn't make sense, but there's reasons why people don't like it, and like I think they have very valid points. But I do think the show can also be good, too, at the same time. But that said, though, I don't know, I just don't like people like that. But that said, though, I think that's all I have to say for this, though. I'm probably going to go ahead and let things go from here, though. Swear to, I almost made it too without any noise out here. Oh well, I mean, I'm not too concerned about the noise, but I just didn't want to have the dogs barking, constantly and whining, But like I said, I do want to talk about that a little bit later. So but yeah, I'm pretty much about ready to let this go, though. I do have another video planned. I'm gonna try to make afterwards. We'll see if this works or not. I mean, it probably won't be a super long video, but I do want to make one. That said, though, I'm going to go ahead and actually let things go from here, though. I'll see you guys all, later. And remember, guys, like I said, don't be like this person. Remember just to have your own opinions and don't get, all salty with people who have their own opinions. But I was very, kind of debating back and forth if I wanted to do this or not. But I'm like, there's so much hate and on the show. I kind of wanted to throw my own opinion out here for people who criticize people like this. I mean, not saying, again, not everybody, who does that criticizes people, but a lot of people who like this show criticize people for it. But But like I said, I don't mind people having their own opinion. I just don't like the way people respond. But I've had people even on my channel kind of say they like this show, and that's fine. But I don't need people harassing people or this or that, getting salty over an opinion. But anywho, though, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.